Hello, dosto, namaste, and welcome back to Playmaker India. And today with me is Mr. Steve Herbots, all the way from Japan. He's right, all the way from Belgium. He's here in India right now. He's currently the coach of United Sports SC. And welcome, sir. How are you? Um, One second. I think there was some problem in the connection. Anyways, hello, sir. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem, no
okay.
problem.
So there was some interruption. It's okay. So, anyways, welcome to the podcast. And like I said, today we'll be talking about Indian football, what's going on in reality, because it's very important to delve into the development of young talent and the state of Indian football right now at the grassroots level. So, yes, sir. You're working with United Sports Club right now. How is your experience working with the kids, working with the main team also?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here on the podcast. And as you said, right now I'm almost 3 years coaching at United Sports Club in Kolkata. Maybe you're also hearing that my voice is a little bit gone because we just finished match, so I had to run to get here. So it's been quite a hectic day, but no, as you said quite well, I'm head coach of the senior team, but I'm also head of youth development of the club.
Yes.
That means that I'm day in day out on the pitch for the last almost, yeah, we're going direction to 2 years and 7 months, 8 months, something like that. And yeah, it has shown me a lot, and how football is going here, how development is going here. And for the first, I think around 2 years, just over 2 years, I kept quiet and I evaluated a lot of things because that's the most important thing first, before
Yeah.
speaking out on things that you don't know. And it's only after those 2 years that I decided now it's time to start speaking out. And from that moment, more and more people has started talking to me because there is, of course, the main difference between Europe and Indian football. But I'm sure that we will go further on that part within the next questions.
Yes, surely we will. The first thing I would love directly to go into the grassroots, because we know that India has a big grassroots problem, and you are working in the grassroots right now. How do you think that if you look at the current state of grassroots football in India, how well it is, and what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, look, if we there's two different parts that you need to look at. It's one, the question is there talent in Indian football, and I think as many European or foreign coaches have told already in the past, there is talent. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Main problem is indeed what is happening on the pitch. What is happening on the pitch in grassroots? What is happening? How they are developed, and what are the stages within grassroots that need to happen.
Yeah.
And there are, compared to a lot of countries that I've worked in, there are huge concerns and huge problems on the pitch. There are a couple of academies and a couple of clubs, like for example at United, where we have every age group from 5 year olds until the senior team. There are some other academies, as you guys also well known. There is Minerva, there is Tata, there is Reliance Academy, there is Bangalore FC, and maybe Goa, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones. The main problem is at the end, what is the pathway from them to get into the senior team? And what is the pathway, and that is for me more important, what is the pathway for them to get into European competitions? And that pathway right now, this is from 2 years and 7 months experience, is not there. There is a lot of people talking about it, and there is a lot of people saying yes, but we have collaborations and we are working together and we are what and how. I will give you some numbers on collaborations, and one of them is a big example on that part. As you have here in India, as in most countries, you have the example of BAS Academy.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah.
know there is one, for example, in Mumbai, but I think there is two, three in India.
Yes.
Now, I did my homework on that. How many Barca academies are there in the world? Do you have any idea?
No.
No. The number is approximately is 180.
Oh, okay.
180 Barca academies with approximately 45,000 players.
Oh,
Now, as you well know, to use the name of Barcelona, you pay a lot of money.
yes, of
Okay,
course.
so 10 years ago, I've asked for this contract to give
Hmm.
me enough looking around what I know. And the first year, I don't know if it is still now or it is more or less, the
Okay.
first year at that point was 150,000 euros for the year that you need to pay to use the name. And the next
Okay.
2 years, it only goes up. Okay.
Yes, of course.
So at the end, you are using a name, and then you need to look from these 45,000 kids, how many has exactly become professional players?
Yes.
Very little, because as
Yeah.
you also know, most of them are paying kids
Yes.
and they use the name to play in Barcelona.
Yes.
Now, at the end, this will not help your development. This will not help your grassroots development, and that has nothing to do with Barca or not with Barca. I don't want to put a bad name on Barcelona,
Yes.
but it is the actual truth. So there
Yeah.
are some other academies, like I said, who are working. The main problem is how do you get these players into Europe? And that is an evaluation that needs to be made. And the main problem with youth development here is quality training session from a very young age. Again, that does not mean that an Indian coach is less than a European coach and that a European coach is better than an Indian coach. I don't say that and I will never say that. There are very good young Indian coaches who can work quality with grassroots, and there are very good foreign coaches. Simple
Yes.
as that. Now, the pathway to get to European football is very tough.
Yeah.
It's very hard because football is one of the sports, one of the only sports that almost everyone can practice. You
Yes.
don't need much. And there is, if you have more than 7 billion people on the world, you can almost count 500 million who want to become a professional football player.
Yeah.
So the reality is that it is very tough, very
Yes.
hard to get there. You have an African continent you're fighting against, you have a South American continent fighting against, and you have an Asian continent. And then I'm not talking North America and I'm not talking Australia, for an example, but that's
Yeah.
the reality.
Yes.
And that is something that is a long term
Mm.
vision, long term thinking, long term philosophies. And one of the things that I've noticed, even within the clubs that are doing well in Indian football, in Indian grassroots football, most of the times when I ask the question, because I've talked to most of them to get to know what is happening and how and what, most of the times is my question, do you want to get them into European football? And they say yes, but most of the times they also say they are not ready.
Mm.
So then my question is, yeah, what are you doing for 10, 12 years already? Because Tata has been working for more than 10 years. Minerva has been working for more than 10 years.
Yes.
Reliance has been working for exactly 10 years then now. And there's some other clubs who've been working. And then you need to ask yourself the question, how come these other countries can get players into Europe? If it is Uzbekistan, if it is Vietnam, no, Vietnam doesn't really have many, but if it is Japan, if it is Korea, if it is Saudi Arabia, if it is Australia, why do they get them over there? And that's a question that I try to answer with my experience, and that sometimes goes against a lot of people. Okay, sorry, but it is better to tell the truth, and maybe it is my truth,
Yes.
but I think with the 14 years experience in youth coaching and in football now 36 years as a player, young player until the age that I'm now as a 40-year-old, I think I can give enough information of what I've seen. I've traveled around, I've seen the world, I've worked in different continents and countries, and you are very far behind to get players into Europe. And I'm not talking in the seventh, eighth division. I'm talking in the top 12. And that's
Yes.
where your players need to be. And
Yes.
that's an evaluation that everyone needs to do for themselves. And my
Yes.
evaluation there is quite harsh and quite hard because it is not good enough. and that needs to change.
Of course, it's the reality of Indian football right now, and any smart person can say that, right? We don't have the right kind of a mindset right now with the players up playing up top. You could clearly see that it's a small bubble where the players don't want to go outside, get behind it. But I think somewhere the ISL also gave them a good salary where we can see that the players don't want to go outside, right? If a normal subpar player is getting around 2 to 3 crores, which is a good sum of amount, you don't get it in the championship. Some players don't get into the championship of England football, right? So that is a great kind of amount, and that's why player is not trying to be his best version. He's like, okay, I'm getting kind of good money over here, let me stay over here. Do you think that has been a problem also for India in terms of the
Absolutely.
opportunities?
Absolutely. I really agree. Championship. I think in championship there is enough opportunities and there is enough money in England. Um,
Yeah.
biggest problem at the moment is more if you are looking direction the top 12, top 15 competitions, and then I'm talking Belgium second division. I'm
Yes.
talking Germany, maybe third division, which is still top quality. Then I'm talking that direction. And I'll give you one example because you've just talked about numbers, what players are
Yeah.
earning here. Look, one of my players who's 25, 26 year old has played 100 matches, over 100 matches in first and second division in Belgium, and has played in the Netherlands in the first division for a smaller club over there. He's now playing in the second division in Belgium. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you know the salaries here. Please, you tell me, because we're talking here as normal people to each other.
Yeah.
You tell me what you think he's earning a month.
Because I have been following
Mhm.
Netherlands football, Belgium football. I think it's around something. If you talk about the second division, maybe around 5 to 10,000 euros, something like that. Close to that or
Well,
less than that.
less than that. Less
Yeah,
than that. So if I put it in Indian rupees right now, he's on a salary, not bonuses. I'm not talking bonuses. I'm just
only
talking on a
salary.
salary. He's on a salary of 3 lakh a month. Played 100 matches first and second division. Played in the Netherlands
Yeah,
first
that.
division. Now, the minimum salary, and again, people can tell me, coach, you're telling rubbish. Please look it up. I can give you the facts. I can give you the numbers. I don't even have a problem with it. Minimum salary for a Belgian player. I'm talking minimum salary. Okay. So you're an 18-year-old, you sign your first contract in the first division or in the second division of Belgium. You're a Belgian player. I'm not talking not EU player. I'm talking a Belgian player. 18 years old, you come from the youth, you sign your first professional contract. The minimum salary is around 65,000 rupees a month.
Look at
Now,
that.
we are not even talking ISL. We are talking, as you know, in West Bengal, for an example, in Kerala,
Yes.
our five-a-side tournaments, our seven-a-side tournaments, that is not even professional football. I know players who are getting 50,000 rupees, and these are the top kept players,
Yeah.
50,000 rupees for 20 minutes match.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they are
And
earning more than players who are just signing a contract in the first division of Belgium. And I'm talking young players, of course. I'm not talking the top players. The top players are having a good salary. The ones who are playing Champions League, for example, Antwerp this year in the group with Barcelona.
yeah.
Yeah, these players are not at 50,000 rupees. We need to be honest. These players are at more money than an ISL player, but the difference is huge, and
Yeah.
that is what people here are not understanding. Why, Ali? The second division in Belgium, I think 80% of the teams, they come and play here. I think most probably they're in the top two. You never know how a competition goes and what and how, but they're in the
Yeah.
top two of ISL. It's as
Mhm.
simple as that. There is a player, for an example, because Man City has a team in the Belgium second division also, like they
Yes.
have Mumbai City.
Yes.
They have a team over there, and there is one player, and I've not seen that at Mumbai City, for an example. There is one player at that team who has the value of 40 million euros, who's playing in the second division of Belgium. So you
Okay.
understand what I'm saying? If a team like that comes and play here, full competition, they are more professional, they are more quicker, they are more stronger, they are more. And why would a player go over there? If whatever national team player it is, why would they go over there, have the risk that they are not playing, which is a big chance that they are not playing? They will sit on the bench in the beginning, they will sit in the stand in the beginning.
Yes.
And why would they go over there when here you have the money, you are sure
Exactly.
that you're playing, the level is good enough, but it doesn't help your national team. And this is where, for an example, now with the Asian Cup that's going on, there is, for an example, an Indonesian player
Yeah.
this week who got his first match time in the Belgium second division. His
Yes.
first match time, well, because he comes back from a very bad injury. That's why he didn't play at the Asian Cup. He played
Yes.
his very first match right now. Well, do you think in that club, and I know the club, that he's on a big contract? He's not on a big contract compared to the ISL here, but he went over there. He fought for 6 months after his injury to get in the team. He got
Yeah.
his first starting minutes and he played. And he did, there's a video about him. He did like a speech after the match, crying to tell his teammates in, hey, thank you for everything that you guys have pulled up with me, giving me my first opportunity. This is the fighting that you need to do for your national team. And if you ask me, is that one of the reasons? The big money and the easy money that you can get here. And
Yeah.
this is not for everyone. Let us be clearer. Not everyone is getting money in Indian football, and there's a lot
No.
of
Yeah.
players who are not getting money,
Yeah.
but it is too easy. I am 40 years old. I can give you this example. We've been laughing with these us as coaches. Maybe you know Lalkomol Bomik, who is my
Yeah. Yeah.
coach in the second team.
Yes.
Has well enough known in Indian football. Has played on a top level.
Level.
If me, him, and a couple of other of our coaches go and play in the five sides, we earn more money right now than we are earning as coaching, because my salary as a coach at United is not a huge salary. It's a choice that I've made also. Um, so at the end, we would be earning more. So why would I have the pressure and the stress of coaching, where I can just go and play and have fun, and the day after go again? And that's not right. That's not how it's supposed to be. In Africa, when I was working over there, it's not there. It doesn't exist. So they only have one thing in front of them: is go to a competition where there's money, go
Exactly.
to a
Yeah.
place where there is money.
Yeah.
And here they already have the money. They already have everything that they need. And
Yes.
it's a shame. It stops you. It really stops you, because football, to get at the top level, you need to fight. You need
Yeah.
to fight for
Exactly.
your place every
Yes.
single day. And only when you're the top players, if it's the Ronaldos, the Messis, the Neymars, you will play every week. And all the rest
Exactly.
needs to fight. This is how it's
Exactly.
supposed to go. And this is indeed one of the problems you have here.
And also I think somewhere, if you look at the rules of ISL right now, if you look at them, it's like only 4 foreigners are allowed in the playing 11, and you have got 7 players, Indian players, to play, right? In terms of development, it feels good, it feels right, but somewhere it has, for me, this is my personal opinion, I feel the market has become very volatile for the Indian players, because you have got bunch of players who play brilliant football in terms of the Indian football thing. So I think that's why they are getting the great big contracts. If you look at few players who have got multiple year contracts, multiple crore contracts, which have not impressed me, to be honest, you know. So
At the end, to be able to change that is, one of the main problems that you have in Indian football, even in ISL, is it's your country is huge.
yeah.
You need to look at it. In fact, you can put 20 teams in ISL, but
Exactly.
all the traveling costs, getting all over the country. We are seeing this in I League 2 right now. We are traveling to Mumbai, Goa, Delhi, and Bangalore, and there is no budget coming from the AIFF, so we need to find our own budget. We need to do everything ourselves. And indeed, what you say, yeah, you can have 20 teams, 24 teams, even like in championship, for an example, you
Yes.
have 46 matches, all great, but you need to be able to pay everything. And you see already, you only got a couple of teams, and already right now, Hyderabad is struggling. They don't have any money left anymore.
Yeah.
Some other teams sometimes are struggling also. There's been a lot of transfer bans if it was East Bengal last year, or if it
Yeah.
was a couple of the other teams. I think Northeast at a certain point also. Um, it's a problem, and yes, you can say, okay, the market is too small, but Ale, which teams are you going to put extra in there? Okay, maybe Mohammedan, maybe Gokulam, but some of these other teams are struggling also in I League. Ale,
Yeah.
you look well enough the Nerokas and the Traus and the Rajasthans, and it's not that they have great money and they're going to travel 46 times. I don't see this happening in the end. So there needs to be a huge change in everything, and how to do it. Maybe what you need to do is a little bit like maybe in America. You have two ISLs,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You call it Group A and you call it Group B, which is the north part of India and the south part of India. And then
Yeah.
at the end, you have the top two teams of both groups fight for the title. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just an idea, because then you can have indeed uh, uh, you can have 15 teams in one, you can have 15 teams in the other one, and it's just something that I'm trying to bring forward, that you can generate more players, and the cost would be lower. So that's
Hmm.
maybe an opportunity. I like it's in NBA. You got your West Zone, you got your East Zone,
Yeah.
and they are playing together. And at the end, the top teams come in one place and fight it out, figure it out. That's maybe a possibility, but there needs to be more Indian players playing indeed, and that doesn't mean there needs to be less foreigners. But hey, we also need to be honest. Yes, they help. I agree. Playing, they help. But if there is only a couple of teams in ISL, and half of the team is foreign, then because you're saying
Hmm.
it's four, you can play with five foreigners. You can't play with
Yeah.
four. You can play with five foreigners. So that's half of the team who's a foreigner. Yeah, then there's absolutely no place left anymore for Indian players. So it's struggling at the end, and the better Indian players are staying then also, which
Yeah.
normally in other countries they would be somewhere else,
Yeah.
because that means then your whole Indian national team would be playing somewhere else. That means I League Indian players would be in ISL, and
ISL. Yeah.
that's the way that it rotates at the end. And here there is no rotation. There is
That's
no
the main point, I
rotation.
mean.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
Because the top
problem
player,
indeed.
yeah, the top players should be playing in the top leagues. I mean, okay, we have got only bunch of top players I can count on the fingers. But again, how many foreign leagues have they played? That is the biggest question, because we talk about the foreign leagues because they have got the best coaches, they have got the best facilities, they have got the best infrastructure, which can help and develop better players of better versions of themselves. But if you look at India right now, we do have coaches, like you mentioned, we do have coaches, but to become that X factor, they need to go out of that comfort zone. What are the views on that?
Absolutely. Ali, look at myself at the end. Look, I'm a 40-year-old coach right now. I've had big and small projects in 9 countries at the moment. I've done internships. You're talking comfort zone. I got internship at Leicester City and at Ajax Amsterdam, for an example, which would be fantastic for your Indian coaches, which would be fantastic for your Indian players.
Yeah.
At the end, I went to some African countries. I went, for an example, my last one was in Seychelles, which is a country in the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
Um, I was their technical advisor for the national team. Um, this is going out of your comfort zone, coming to India without knowing really what is Indian football, and not being in the ISL teams, but really being in the lower leagues, and looking around, and fighting for whatever you need to do. And this is at the end, it's something that, to become better, as I say, you need to go and do the challenge. You need to
Yeah.
challenge yourself. And for me, I have my own vision also in what I want to reach in my life and as a coach and what I have. And all
Yeah.
the hardships that I've had as a coach by traveling around and by doing things different than most people, it has learned me a lot. And it has learned me a lot to be able to adapt. And players need to do the same thing. If tomorrow a player has the opportunity, an Indian player, to go to the Belgium second division, and in the beginning to go and freaking sit on the stand, but to work and to play with better players, they will learn more. And you've seen the players who have done it, the players who
Yeah.
have gone. If it is Sunil Shetty, if it is Baichung Bhutia, if it is Gurpreet, if it is, there is a couple of players who went. There
Yeah.
was a player years and years ago. I know because they've told me the story from Mohamedan. He went to Celtic, for an example. Um,
Yeah.
these players came back and they were better. They were better players. So at the end, your Indian players have shown it already. They have shown what it helps, and still they are not going for it. Still, they stay here. And I'm not talking again to go to Europe and to go in the play in the seventh, eighth division. There is no point. That's amateur football. Amateur
Yes.
football over there is no point. But you
Yeah.
go over there, you get in the second or in the third division, go and fight for it. And then people tell me, yes, but it's about visa and it's about, yes, okay, it's about visa. Let's talk about that part and that problem that there is. First of all, visa for England is very tough because of your FIFA ranking. Okay, that
Yeah.
we
Right.
know, we've put on the side. Other countries, for an example, Spain, and this is what I know for a fact. Spain, for an example, there's almost no problem for a foreigner, non-EU player to go and get a contract in Spain. If
Yes.
you're good enough, you can play. They give you
Yes.
a contract.
Yes.
Italy, the minimum contract that you need to get, the minimum salary is 1.2 lakh, which is
Yeah.
nothing for an Italian club.
Yes.
Again, I know from experience, so I'm telling you straightforward. Maybe the regulation has changed in the last 2 3 years, but that's approximately. Belgium
Yes.
non-EU player is 5 lakh a month that you need to
Yes.
pay. Okay,
Yeah.
so it becomes a bit more difficult already because for an Indian player right now is not at that level to go and receive 5 lakh. The
Yeah.
Netherlands is impossible because the Netherlands they are charging 250,000 euros a year for a non-EU player. So that's only
Oh.
the best non-EU players can go to the Netherlands. But then you have countries like Poland, you have countries like Romania, you have countries like it's a bit more tough. You need to be honest. They don't speak the language. They don't speak
Yes.
English. Okay, but go and fight. Go and fight over there because getting a visa over there is not that difficult. The clubs, if they are good enough, you will get your visa. You will get your opportunity. You will go. And what I would think, for an example, a 22-year Indian player who's for the national team.
Yeah.
You've played 2 3 years in ISL, maybe
Yeah.
1 2 years in ISL. You've received a lot of money. Invest your money to go over there, go on trials, go and fight for it. Put that money inside your career. And if you don't have a contract by the age you're 25, 26, you come back. You come back. But at least you've tried something and you will
Yeah.
be coming back a better player because you're going to be over there with better players. So then you do like at the end, like Sunil Shetty has done, you do like Bachung Bhutia has done, and they come back and they were better players here. But
Yes.
but staying here inside your comfort zone, it will not
It won't
help. It
help.
will not
Yeah.
help anything. And it stops, as we said, it stops the next generations for playing time.
Yeah.
It
It,
stops
it's it's
them
it's a
for
fact.
getting
Yes.
in there.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a big fact. I think whatever you said right now, I think if the younger generation looks forward to it, I mean, like self investment is very important. You have to learn. You have to keep on learning. It's not like, yeah, I'm done with learning and now I'm a better player. There is no better player. I think even the best players keep on learning every day something new, and that's how they are better player. They are the best players, right? Coming to the important point that if you look at the roles and initiatives what government has done or what AIFF has done, have you seen anything just looking at the West Bengal football right now, if you're talking about your own club right now, is there a proper support from the government? It's a proper support from the local authorities or the AIFF, or it's like everything is private going on right now?
Well, first of all, I don't really know because I'm not busy with the budgets. That's not up to me. That's why we have a director and we have a CEO.
Yeah.
But at the end, the only thing that I know of all the talks that we are doing, it's all private. It's all
Yeah.
private, and there's almost nothing coming through, not from the state affairs or not coming from AIFF. And if it is very minimal.
Yeah.
So at the end, that is not really helping the clubs, and especially like in West Bengal, yeah, it's there's already very big clubs with East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, Mohammedan, and at the end, it is difficult for a club like ours to go and compete and fight with them right now on sponsorships. But it doesn't mean that you can't get successes on the pitch, especially with the youth development. If we see this year the under 17 league, which was the full 1 month, we were in a group with East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, Mohammedan, Odisha FC, and Sports Odisha. We beat all the teams at least once. We
Yes.
were sadly enough not qualified at the end. Okay, but we were just behind East Bengal and Mohun Bagan. So it doesn't mean that with you development you can't do anything. Of course, yeah, to move up you need money. Everything is money right now,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know that well enough. You see that also in the Premier League.
Yes.
Newcastle was always a team first and second division, and suddenly
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia comes and they're playing for the Champions League. So
Yeah.
that's how it goes everywhere. But I know, and this is again my personal view and what I'm looking at. AIFF has a very difficult task. And I'm not going to defend what they are doing, or I'm not going to talk just bad about what they are doing. Your country is bigger than Europe, okay? The whole country, not the size, but at the end, you look at it and you put India inside Europe, it's almost the same. The main difference is every country in Europe has their own country FA, with their own state affairs, with their own vision, with their own development, with everything. Now, that means also the scouting is completely different because Belgium will scout differently than France, France than Spain, and so further. In India, AIFF needs to do all of these. Now, you need to tell me, and again, it's not pro AIFF or against AIFF, but someone needs to tell me how AIFF is going to scout all over the country. We are in West Bengal with our club. We have at the moment, I think, just over 30 associate academies. We
Nice.
have opened around 5 to 6 schools, and I talk football schools, where
Okay.
kids can come and train for very low fees because we are not charging lakhs of money. We're charging very low fees. Um, that everyone can try to work with the same philosophy and with the same work of vision. And at the end, that these players can come to our club and which has been happening already.
Yeah.
So at the end, this is what we are doing, and still in West Bengal, I cannot even say that I've scouted 1% of the players.
Oh. So
So then you need to imagine at 30 plus school academies that we're working with, 5 schools, and still not even 1%. How do you
1%.
want
Yeah.
AIFF to do that all over the country? But there needs to come your state affairs, your
Yes.
district affairs. They all need to work in the same line. And you know the project of Blue Cups, for example, which
Yes.
has been taught to all the coaches,
Yeah.
where they tell you when you are under 12, you need to play. I'll give an example: 5v5, or you
Yeah.
need to play maximum 7v7. Okay. Yesterday, my under 12 have to play in district a tournament. Under
Okay.
12 play local tournaments here, and they play not 5v5, they don't play 7v7, but they play 11v11. So, because the district FAs are not doing what AIFF is telling. So, even if AIFF is telling you need to do it this way, this way, this way, this way, at the end, who is going to check on this tournament? Is AIFF going to
Mm.
come to Sotpur? That was the place where we were. They're going to come there and going to come and look at an under 12 tournament. No, of course they're not going to do this, and they can't do this. It's not possible. So it is a very difficult task. And Belgium had the same problem in 2000. In 2000, we organized the Euros with the Netherlands, and
Yeah.
we were the very first country ever who got kicked out in the group stage. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? So we got kicked out. We were the first ones. Now, happened in 2002? We didn't qualify. Okay,
Yeah.
so we didn't qualify. We were number 79 on the FIFA ranking, close to
Yes.
India right now. Everyone sees Belgium as a top country, but we had our very bad period also. So what
Yes.
did we do? Belgium FA said we're going to change everything. Full
Yeah.
grassroots development, we're going to change. What did the old coaches say? Yeah, but why do we need to change? We've been doing this for 50 years. Why do we need to change something? And there was a lot of problems, a lot of fights going on. And by getting new coaches, young coaches who actually followed what the Belgium FA, together with their own vision, of course, you don't have to follow everything what they are telling you, with your own vision, with their own, but they followed, Belgium has moved up. So if I look at Vision 2047, just on paper, it is a great vision.
Yeah.
Honestly, you need to be honest. Whoever reads it, it is a great vision. It is a
Yes.
long-term vision, but it is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Now, what on paper is being done does not mean it is being done on the pitch. And this
Yes.
is the example that I just gave of our under 12 that normally have to play 5v5 because they're on the under 13. They should be playing 5v5
Yeah.
and they are playing 11v11 on a big size pitch. So then AIFF can say whatever they want to say. If it is not happening inside the country, it is very difficult. And it's that
Exactly.
whole thinking process that needs to change. And that needs to start with the young coaches who are starting now. And they need to convince in their club their older coaches to say, hey, we need to do this because this is the better way. And that will, one of the problems you have here is a young coach, this is part of your how do I say that, your mindset, part
Yeah.
of your way of living, is a
Yes.
younger person will not disagree with an older person,
Yeah.
but for the betterment, sometimes you have to. Sometimes
Yes.
you need to dare to say we need to do it differently. Because if tomorrow you come to Belgium as a coach, the youngest age, I'm talking your under fives, your under sixes, are playing 2v2. No one is allowed to do 11v11. No one is
That's nice.
allowed to do. You understand? So
Yeah.
we had the same problem. When I heard about this in the beginning, I was like, well, why am I going to do this? I adapted, I worked in it, and I've seen the difference. So it's the
Yes.
same here. You need to dare to change, and that is a big issue here, and will take a lot of time for everyone to look in the same direction.
Talking about the coaches, and it's important to talk about the state FAs, and it's important to talk about the state, district FAs, because it's not only the AIFF that is doing the vision that they should follow. Of course, when the state follows, when the district follows, and then you can implicate it in a proper way. But again, coming back to the coaches, how do you really see the new coaches, like you say, and what are the real roles of coaches in shaping the development of young footballers, working with under sevens, so working with under six, which again is a very small group, but still, what qualities make a good grassroots coach in your opinion? Because I'm one of the, I'm getting trained in
Mhm.
your C license right now, so I just want to know it from your side.
Well, at the end, look, perfect grassroots coaches are the ones that, first of all, know what is important in grassroots. And for me, I always talk about three basics. Those three basics is the start of everything. Again, in my opinion and with my experience, is your first touch,
Yes.
is your pass, and is space. And the third one is already very difficult. What is space? Where do we
Yeah.
need to run in space? How do
Yes.
we get to in that space? And if you can focus on these three first, and that also means, of course, dribbling is in there and everything is, but you can focus on these three first, a player will learn much quicker how to play and when to dribble and how to dribble before we are going to work on big players and stamina. And this is what I still see in football here. And I talk to a lot of coaches. Why are you doing this? But we did this in the past, and in the past India had good results, so we keep doing this. Yes, but it doesn't work like this anymore.
Yeah.
Main thing is right now everything needs to be done with the ball. Everything needs to be done with the ball. Everything needs to be done in small sided games. Everything needs to be done match related. That
Yes.
doesn't mean you only play matches, but everything needs to be done match related. And here there is too much focus still on singular dribbling. You have
Hmm.
cones and you dribble in between the cones. There is too much focus on two cones and I pass from A to B, from B to A, from A to B, from B to A. Sorry
Yes.
to tell you, but you don't do this in a match. So if you are born in Argentina, you are born in Brazil,
Yeah.
you think that these guys are training cone to cone first? No, they are playing on the streets and they are playing matches. They are
Yes.
playing three aside, they are playing five aside, they are playing two aside, they're playing whatever, one aside if necessary. That's
Yeah.
what they are doing. And that's where they get their feeling of the ball.
Yes.
First important is, can I play football? A good example I can give you, and this is maybe better to understand for people. Okay. I'm 40 years old. I've said this now a couple of times already. I'm 40 years old. Okay. Now, I've got very bad injuries, what or how, but if tomorrow, and I know one of the academies, and maybe you will know also, they are very much focused on a stamina test. There is one which is the
Okay.
yo yo test. Okay.
Yes.
And one
Yes.
of the academies that is working here, and I don't want to say the name, but most people will know which academy I'm talking about, they are favoring the yo yo test.
Yes.
So I'm 40 years old. I'm going to stop working from today and I'm going to focus on doing a good yo yo test. I'm going to train for a year. By the time I'm 41, okay, I can still do a good yo yo test. If I focus, by the time I'm 50, I can still do a good yo yo test. If my
Yes.
only focus is the yo yo test, I can do this. Okay. Now, can I still go and play in the Premier League? No.
No, of course not.
Not a chance. No,
Yeah.
not even a chance. I can stop playing football. I can train with the best coaches from today. Every single day, I will never play in the Premier League anymore.
That's fact. Yeah.
So, what is the main importance first of the youth development is everything what you do with the ball. By the time they are perfect in control, passing, space, and then again I say the extras are dribbling, the
Yeah.
extras are heading, the extras are
Yes.
okay. Once they are perfect in that, then you can build stamina. Then
Yes.
you can build strength.
Of
Then
course.
you can build power. Then you can build all these things. And then people tell me, yeah, but coach, if you look like that, if you think like that, you will lose every match because they don't have stamina. Ah, okay. So what is the main question then? What goes quicker? You running or the ball passing?
Now
Yeah.
that is the important point. Yeah.
So if I'm standing still and I can play everything in one touch,
Yeah.
what is going to go quicker? The ball, no? It doesn't mean that I don't need to have stamina in senior football. But in youth football, first of all, I need to be able to pass, control,
Exactly.
and find space. And
Yeah.
it's these basics at the end that are not being looked at. Again, not by everyone, huh? Don't hear me wrong. But by a lot of coaches, it is not being looked at. And it
Yes.
is one of the main problems indeed when you come into your national team. Because in the youth, you cannot evaluate youth matches here because
Yeah.
of one of the major problems of age fraud. So you
Hmm.
cannot evaluate players at their level. So what happens when they get into the senior team? It's only then you can start evaluating them. Because
Yes.
I know for a fact players, and now you're going to tell me maybe coach this is too much. Players last year who are playing, not last year, but maybe before, in
Yeah.
like an under 17 league or like last year in the RFDL league, which is maximum 23 years old to 22, under 23s, five players.
Yes.
I know players who are at least 27, 28.
This is nothing
Yeah.
new, to be honest. This is nothing new
No,
in
no,
India.
but it
It
is
has
not
been.
only here. It is in Africa the same problem.
Yes.
It
Yes.
happens also. But in Africa, we develop players for Europe. Here we don't.
Yeah.
Because in Africa, there are very good academies and schools who, even with the age cheating, are still focusing on the technical and tactical basics.
Yes.
And here, we only focus on winning with strength.
Yeah.
And this is a problem because at the end, when I look at my youth players, my under 17s, not everyone, but a major part of them are smaller than the other teams, and still we get the results. Major part of our youth players are smaller, and
Yeah.
still we get results. We will not win every match, okay, but at the end, it is a process. It is a
Yes.
process, and Ali, right now, for an example, maybe some people will start looking in what is United Sports Club doing and what and how. So our I League Two right now, it's a bit of a difficult situation that we're in. We're not doing the best results. Okay,
Yeah.
but if I compare our team with the other teams, most of our players come from our youth.
Yes.
Most of our players come through the development that we've been doing, and a
Yes.
lot of our youth players have moved up to I League, to ISL in the meantime. Also, for an example, with Raj Basfo, who has gone to ISL.
Yes.
Within the past, Monoto Shaklada, for an example, with Shubham, who played for East Bengal, who has now
Yes.
returned to us. So all these players at the end have a link with United, and they've moved up through this system. And you know well enough, look this year at Ajax Amsterdam, always one of these top quality youth developments, and this year they were on a position of relegation
Yes.
because maybe they've sold too many players, maybe they've done it too quickly, maybe the next generation is not ready yet. It's all factors at the end that you need to look at, and you need to see why this is happening. What is the reasons behind it? And this is at the end something that a lot of teams and a lot of clubs here are not doing. They're not evaluating what are the basics. They are just evaluating what is the win and what is the loss. And we've
Yeah.
won, perfect. Yes, this is it. We've lost, this is the reason, or this is the reason, or this is the reason. You understand? It's much more than that. And the players that I've developed, and right now, Ale, I've got I think 5 6 players in the Premier League. I got players in the Bundesliga. I got players in
Yeah.
La Liga. Um, all these players have gone through the same system of technicality,
Yes.
tacticality, and here we are still saying, "Yeah, but coach, we beat your team, you team, for an example. We've beaten
Yeah.
your U team, yeah, but how many of your players are ending up at the senior level at the end? How many of your players are going through direction Europe at the end? And can I do this at United? No, at the moment I cannot because of a lot of reasons. One of them is financial reasons. For
Yes.
example, you need to have a certain amount of money. You need to have certain things. You need to have to be able to do this. But I'm convinced that if people and young coaches here focus on technicality, on tacticality afterwards, and at the end on stamina and power and strength, that football will start moving up. And then, of course, honesty of not frauding with age. I know it is not always possible because me also, we worked with the under 17s this year. If you ask me today, coach, can you guarantee me 100% that all your players were under 17? I need to answer, I do not know.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you because we only get the information from them. We put it in the system also. We
Yes.
have released some players in advance that we thought who are
Yeah.
not under 17, but I cannot guarantee because there is no system in India, which I still find very strange.
Yeah.
Compared to Europe, for an example, when a kid is born there, everything goes automatically into a system, and you
Yes.
cannot get another idea card. You cannot. But in Africa, is the same problem. They also do it, but they focus on other things. And the
Yeah.
good academies there, this is the main thing. The good academies there, they are looking at what is right. And here there are some clubs, some academies who are doing as I've told already. They are trying their best. Absolutely, I have full respect for them what they are doing. Maybe our vision and our philosophy is a little bit different, but the mindset is the same. We want to help Indian football. We want to develop young players. We want to develop coaches. So fantastic for the teams and the clubs who are doing this. But at the end, it takes more than only a couple of clubs or academies to do it. In a country like this, there needs to be a huge setup, and that needs to be the difference.
And yeah, that's a pure fact, to be honest, because we have been seeing it's not easy to tackle the age frauding, especially in India and also Africa, because the system works the same. But let's hope best for the future. But yeah, we need to work on the technicality, we need to work on the tactical, everything. But again, it's kind of difficult because we don't you think that India has very less coaches compared to the players, or you can say because the coach education has not been that great in India. Do you think
No,
that has
I
been the
don't
problem
think you
also?
have less. I don't think you have less coaches at the end. I see hundreds of academies and coaching camps popping up everywhere. And I know AIFF is doing courses.
Yeah.
For a country like this, not enough courses. I agree.
Yeah,
There
that's
should
the
be
fact. That's
many,
what.
many more. But
Yeah,
I also don't think that AIFF should organize it alone. Why not your state affairs? Why not your district affairs? They can do it also, no? A district FA, they get the course from AIFF and they let it within their district, they let coaches do the course.
yeah,
Why is it not possible? In the beginning, you have a supervisor from AIFF, but if AIFF, allez, you have 1.4 billion people, how can you do 100 A license courses? And what are you going to do with these A license coaches? Because they can't go anywhere really because there's no competition to put them. So it is a problem, and it is a big problem. um, but it cannot be AIFF alone. There is more than that, and there needs to be more teams, and there needs to be more academies doing competitions and do even when I'm not 100% that competition is the main factor, because the academy that I worked with, we didn't play competition until the age of 16. They never played into a league, and still we got so many players who are playing at top level.
yeah.
So it is not the most important. The most important is quality training. That's the
Yes.
most important. After that, again, matches is the extra.
Yeah,
Matches is where you can learn something extra.
yeah.
But at the end, if you have 30 players in a team and there is only 11 players, or like five-a-side, there's only five players, that means
Yes.
that 25 players are not playing. So what development do they have on match day? I don't see much development if they are not playing. So
Yes.
if you have a pre-match training, a post-match training, and you have your match day, that's 3 days that 25 kids don't have to have training.
Yeah.
Do you understand a little bit? It's so my vision on matches is not the same vision as most people. Most important for me is quality training session from a very young
Yes.
age. That's the
That's a
most
fact. Yeah.
important, and that will help indeed. And there are a lot of coaches, but again, AIFF cannot do it alone.
Yeah, the district and again state has to come in action, because it's not like I said, like Mr. Steve Herbots said, that there are lots of coaches, but the trainings need to step up, and also the state and the district has to look into it. One more thing I want to ask, like if you look at the women's football right now, have you been following women's football right now in India? How do you see, from your
Yeah, because
perspective?
I've coached in the second division of Belgium in women also.
Yeah,
So I try to follow everything a little bit. Now there is a lot more possibilities in women's football than there is in men's football. It's as simple as that. No, but the market is much more open than it is in men's football. Men's football is already packed. Women's
yeah.
football, there's a lot of opportunities. And as you see right now, I think that there is two or three players who are in Europe
Y-
right now.
Yes, yes.
I think two of them in Dinamo Zagreb.
Yeah,
So that means at the end, all the people telling me that men players cannot go to Europe. Yes, sorry for my bad language, but it is bullshit, because if your women can go, the visa rules are the same.
yeah.
It is not
Yes,
different
yes,
for a man and for a woman. It is the same visa rules. So if
yes,
women can go, and that means, as I say, they will have bigger opportunity if your IWL becomes a longer competition.
yes.
Your other competitions under there become a bigger competition
Yeah,
because there is more women playing there. At that point, you have much more opportunities. There are a lot of talented girls who are playing.
yeah,
Honestly, what I see. So there are good coaches around them. So there is a huge opportunity, I think, for India to go quicker to the Women's World Cup than to the Men's World Cup. Does
Yeah.
that mean you need to suddenly just go on women football? No, because both of are important.
Yes.
But the market is different. The market
Yeah.
is more
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
So it's a different story. But yeah, women's football is moving up. More and more girls are playing. We just had the league here in Kolkata also, that just finished, and you see more and more teams. But again, it all needs to be organized. And again, it was a 1 month competition. Yeah, 1 month competition for seniors has no point at the end.
He's a joke, I would
So
say.
yeah, yeah, but it is at the end, and I can understand how can we do longer? How can we do? Yeah, look, I can only talk right now. Kolkata and Bengal. There are enough pitches and enough stadiums that they can play a much longer competition. It's as simple as that. So at the end, you need to give the opportunity to play. Same for
Yeah.
Kolkata Premier League. It should be an 8 9 month competition. All the
Yes.
state leagues should be at the same time. And after the state leagues are finished, then you have Santosh Trophy. Then you have. But now, Ali, look at I League Two. Also, I League Two, we are playing, and in the middle of I League Two, 6 week break because Santosh Trophy is playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit the same thing for women's football at the end. There's too many things that they need to do extra, and it doesn't work like that. You need to have vision. You need to have a certain coach working within that philosophy, and you
Yeah.
need to do that for a longer period, 1 year, two
Mm.
years, and then you go to another coach who is in that same vision and philosophy, and that is how you learn. That's how you become better players, and all the
Yes.
rest, it doesn't work. It has no point at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, I know you had a long day, but before going, just two more questions I'll be asking you. Important question because all in the chat are asking me that which are the players who have impressed you in terms of the top league, the ISL? Are there any youth players which you say, yeah, this guy can become a better version of himself, and surely he has a great future ahead?
Um, I'm a little bit bad with the names also, so I need to be honest. First of all, I'm talking in the under 17 group of the national team. There was one
Yeah.
striker winger who scored in every match in Spain and Germany when they traveled over there. I've seen a little bit of the glimpses. This guy can play.
Okay.
There is another one. I think he's called Apuya, if
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
winger.
Yeah.
Problem again is like I say a little bit is one. What is his real age? I'm not so sure that he's that young. Two, he should be going to Europe. He
Yes.
should be going over there, and he should be going in the fights and not stay here and make his life easy.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of players that I would say, let me compare it with Belgium football, who could maybe go into the bottom of the second division, the top of the third division. They could go over there, maybe not immediately starters, um, but by fighting and by training and by getting the opportunities, they will get their chance at a certain point. I'm convinced about that, but it takes time. And will they want to take time of their life to actually go over there? That's my main question. So there are a couple of players. There are indeed a couple of players that I think could go over there and take their chance, but they need to actually do it.
Yeah.
And it would help your national team. Absolutely, it would help them. They will come back better here, and they will help, and they will push your national team to a higher level.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things that need to happen.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen soon because I don't think so. If you wait again for 2 3 years to someone to go out and bring out that pathway, it's going to be very very late in my opinion. And again, we can't move forward, right? Yeah, but before going, the future outlook, I just want to get your view on where do you see the future of our grassroots football, the youth football in India? If we talk about the next 5 years, next 10 years, because you have seen that the outing at the AFC Asian Cup was very bad, and suddenly there was a roar of talks of we have to work on the grassroots and grassroots. So where do you see us in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of grassroots and also in terms of the national team?
Everything depends on the projects that are running and that are going to start, and how are they going to be followed up. Because at the end, I know that there is the World Cup batch of Minerva, for an example,
Yes.
who is working, but it's yeah, it's Mr. Bajaj on his own over there.
Yeah.
I know, as I said, there is a couple of other groups who are working, but everything depends on yeah, will they be staying here? Will they be moving up? And I think right now we cannot, a little bit again, I'm not for Steve match against C match, but a couple of the things that he said, as long as you do not qualify with your under 17, your under 19, your under 20 Asian Cup, and you don't qualify for the World Cup under 17, how do you want your national team to get there? It's
That's a
very
fact.
difficult at the end. So you need to make a long-term vision, which AIFF has done with the Vision 2047. If you find it ridiculous or not, okay, that's everyone's opinion. But now it is the work on the pitch. The same thing with the FIFA Academy that's about to start in April,
Yes.
because they've kicked out all of the previous players who were chosen. I don't know by who, but not by FIFA apparently.
Yeah.
Um, so they've kicked them all out. It's the same story a little bit there. It will help,
Yeah.
absolutely. But we cannot, and this is something that I'm warning a lot of Indian spectators for, do not think that Arsene Wenger is going to be in India and looking after the FIFA Academy here, because he has the FIFA Academy in over 100 countries.
Yeah.
So he's not only in India, and he wants to do it in over 200 countries. So his focus is not on Indian football. Of course, when he comes here, he's going to say, yeah, yeah, my focus is on Indian football and I'm going to make
Yeah. Of
Indian
course. Yes.
football great. But tomorrow he goes to Mongolia and he says the same thing. And the
Yeah.
day after, he goes to an African country and he says the same thing. He cannot go and say in Africa, maybe in Angola, he cannot go and say, I'm going to make India great. You guys, I don't care. There's just a FIFA academy to we have here academy. So don't put all your eggs into the FIFA academy. Put
Yeah.
it into the people who are actually trying, like for an example, Mr. Nabab of United Sports Club, with
Yes.
very limited resources, he's trying. Mr. Bajaj and other ones, they are trying with their own money and with their own setup.
Yes.
Um, but to get to the best levels, to get to the top levels, and I've now seen this, if it is Mali where I've worked, if it is Vietnam where I've worked, if it is Madagascar that has gone through this academy, for an example, they
Yes.
all at the end had super elite academies. And super elite academies, for an example, in Europe is your top clubs, your Man
Yes.
Cities, your Barcelonas. These are the super elite academies. But in countries where these teams are not, they have started with one, two, three, four super elite academies. And this does not mean an infrastructure of 500 crores. It means top quality training for a long time from a very
Yeah.
young age. And
Yes.
if you have that, you can just have a pitch and no more residential. You can do a lot with that already, but it
Exactly.
is the training session you put in there, and you do it on long-term vision. When
Yes.
you do that, there are possibilities. But don't think within 5 years, because I've not seen one of the youth groups, and I'm talking national team youth groups, I have
Yeah.
not seen one qualifying for Asian. How can they qualify for the World Cup if they
Yeah.
can't qualify in the Asian Cup first? So if they don't do it, and I don't see any group who's doing it at the moment, how can you expect them to do it for the senior team? It's
That's
not
true.
like suddenly there's going to be 20 top quality players appearing from nowhere. It doesn't work like that. Or, like some people are saying, you just do, what is it, OPIs, You bring
Yeah, the
players, yeah,
OCIs and PIOs.
yeah.
Yeah,
So or you do that, but as you've seen in some other countries, this is short term.
yeah,
This is short term thinking, and it doesn't help your grassroots. And maybe you will qualify because of it, because there are some top quality play. Allez, you have
yeah,
1.4 people, 1.4 billion people. They all have ancestors. Everywhere, every player who's in Europe
yeah,
almost has an ancestor in India.
yeah,
So you can bring almost every player here, and it will
yeah.
help your national team, but it will not help the players here. So
That's a fact.
that's a short term vision. You can use your short term vision, no problem, but you still need to have a long term vision working, and you need to have that to make it difficult on the next generations.
Yeah,
And that is where it changes. And if I give you there the example of two big powers in European football who are struggling right now, that's Germany and that's Italy.
yeah.
So you've seen Germany struggling for the last couple of years, and now suddenly in the under 17, they've become world champion again.
Champions. Yes.
Why? Because they have changed again. They have adjusted their way of playing, they have adjusted their philosophy again, and it takes years. So here you want to do this, it will take you years. Not 2 years, not 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 8 years, depending on the World Cup. That's one example of Mr. Bajaj. That's
Yes.
an opportunity. And those moments together, then you will see your players moving up, your national team moving up. But still, they need to be playing in Europe, not here in ISL, because it will not help. They will
Yeah,
stay at the same level.
yeah.
That's
That's
that's the main advice that I can give.
Yeah, because I think if you look at the football game right now, if you because I used to follow football game from the 2000s, then the mid 2005s, because the game has evolved. If you look at the playing style, tactically and technically also, the game has evolved. After 2010, there is a different ball game because Pep Guardiola coming in, coaches like Jurgen Klopp coming in, with all that gig pressing and everything. The game has evolved a lot. Somewhere I think we are in the stagnant water, especially when you look at the Indian philosophy. We are not evolving after the 2000s. It's the same, it's the same pattern of
I
plays.
don't know. I don't know what it was before the 2000s at Indian football. Look, I cannot look in the past that far for
Yeah,
myself. But as you say, right now, every player in the top level is an athlete.
yeah,
They are fully athletes, and here there's too much still going around and too many things happening outside of football. And not everyone, as Sunil Shetty is someone who is a top athlete,
yeah,
but it's a very difficult world like that, and football indeed evolves. And as you say, India, what I feel, especially also in Bengal, is always keep thinking about the past. I hear so many people telling me, Coach, but on the Olympics in 1956, I
yeah.
think, 1956,
1952, 1956. We were
yeah,
good
something
in
like
that.
that.
In that.
You were top, you were fourth, you were quality, and then right now they keep referring to that, and I find that so remarkable because people told me we were fourth in the Olympics, and then I do my homework. I want to know why, how, what, and how. First of all, you didn't qualify. You didn't
Yeah.
have to play any qualifiers. You
Yes.
were qualified immediately because all the other nations didn't play. Then
Yes.
indeed you beat Australia. Yes, you
Yes.
beat them 4-1, I think, if I'm correct. So you
Yeah.
beat them, absolutely right.
4-2,
And then
4-2.
you
Yeah.
play an yeah 4-1, 4-2, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then you play two more matches, which you both lose.
Yes.
So you play three matches to get to the fourth position of the Olympics.
Yes.
Then I asked myself, yeah, Belgium became Olympic champion in 1912 when we were in the Olympics in Belgium. That's a
Yeah.
bit the same story. We haven't won anything since that day, but in Belgium, no one talks about 1912 anymore.
Yeah.
You understand? And this is your right now, you're in 2024, you need to talk about 2024. And
That's a fact. Yeah.
2024 was a disaster for
Yeah.
Indian football, for the national
Yes.
team. because the only thing you won were the local Indian cups. I
Yeah.
need to be honest about this because I've looked at it. You only won cups in India. Whenever
Yeah.
you played a cup outside of India, you never won.
It was disaster.
You
Yeah.
never won. Not
No.
one you won.
No.
So, and then you come into Asian Cup and you get kicked out with 0 points.
Yes.
So, 2024 is the reality. And that means there is a long way to go and a long way to change things for Indian football. And it will take
Yeah.
everyone to look in the same direction. If it is a supporter, if it is a coach, if it is a player, if it is the management, everyone needs to look in the same direction,
Yes.
follow one philosophy, whatever the philosophy may be, follow one philosophy, follow one vision, and go that way. And then you can see and evaluate what you have done right and what you have done wrong. But if
Yeah.
in West Bengal we do something else than Kerala, and Kerala does something else than Goa, and Goa does something else, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It does
This,
not work.
this has been the story of Indian football for the past few decades, and it's not helping the youth. It's not helping the national team, and it maybe it will be stay the same. I'm not hoping for that, but it feels like that right now. If you look at all the signs we are getting, it feels that it's going to be staying the same. But yeah, before you go, I just want to ask, what is your vision regarding United Sports? What are your future plans for the team, for the youth and stuff?
Look, in football, you never know how long you stay somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm one of the
especially
examples.
being a coach. Yeah,
That's yeah. So you never know. But I know the philosophy of the club has been the same for years and years because they've been doing that. Except when there was COVID, they've been
yeah,
doing this for years already. That means we have from the age of 5, we have players. We are trying to find talents all over West Bengal because that's the first priority because it's a club in Bengal.
yeah.
So they want to prioritize the players here, which most of our youth teams are 95%, if it is not more, are West Bengal players. And at the end, yeah, try to develop as many players as possible and try to get through these players, try to get back into I League, which is a very difficult case, as we all know,
Yeah.
because most of the teams that we are playing against are having much bigger budgets than
Yes.
ours.
Yes.
So we do it a little bit a different way, and that can sometimes work and sometimes go against you. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think with what Mr. Nabab has been doing for the club, since the 2.5 years that I'm here, I know at least I think 10 of my players have received a government job. So
That's great.
they are safe for the rest of their lives. Another 8, 9 players have moved up direction I League or even direction ISL or to bigger clubs. So it's all players who come from the youth who have gone through the ranks.
Yeah.
And right now, our only scorer in I League Two is a player who this year played with the reserve team and has gone with Santos Trophy Bingo and right now scored our goal. Um, our one of our midfielders was captain of the under 19 Bengal team, for an example.
That's
So
great.
you understand what we are trying to do and what the
Yes.
philosophy will be for if Mr. Nawab has the possibility for the next 10, 15 years, I'm sure that he will keep having that same philosophy.
Yeah.
And at the end, I try to help where I can.
Yeah.
As much as I can because I'm on the pitch with the under 13s, I'm on the pitch with the under 10s, I'm on the pitch with the senior team,
Yes.
and I'm helping coaches because that's what we do. Also, that's an important one. A lot of the academies that we are working with are sending their youth coaches free of cost to United Sports Club, where I help them in how to make a training session, what to look at, all the factors that we need to do.
That's great.
I give them a little bit like you are now studying the UEFA C. I'm giving a
Yes.
little bit the same information direction there. So we do this all cost of free of cost with them, and we hope by them going back that we get better talents, and at
Yes.
the end that the club keeps moving up.
Yeah.
And that is the philosophy at United, which was one of the reasons that I came to the club also. But as I said, yeah, right now I'm here over 2.5 years time. I still have a contract, but as you also know, yeah, a contract in the world of football can be tomorrow something else, can be
Yeah.
in another country.
Yes.
Um, but most of the times, my philosophy is the same: develop local players, develop local coaches, try to give them a broader view in what is football, and at the end, try to get players into Europe. That's what I try to do every time.
That's a great vision, to be honest. And I have been following your work. I have been following United Sport SC, and you all are working top class, I would say. And thank you again so much for coming on this show and gracing us with your knowledge and giving us a proper transparency of what's going on in Indian football and how we can move forward. Because it's very important to understand the small points, the positives and the negatives, and you have shed light on all the points equally. Thank you so much, sir. Again, come here. And everyone in the chat, sorry I couldn't take your chats, but yeah, we all talked about the grassroots, we all talked about the league and everything, how we can move forward as a bunch. Thank you so much for coming, and that's it from my side. We'll meet you in the other video. Until then, Jai Hind and Jai Bharat. Thank you so much for joining.